Hello, everyone. I am here with our town manager, Adam Chapdelaine, for our weekly update. And we are, as always, appreciative of Adam, you being here to join us this week.
Glad to be here. Thanks, James.
Um, there's always stuff to talk about every week. It's funny, you set up something like this and you wonder, oh, is there going to be enough? But there always is. Anyway, this week, something brand new, wasn't on my radar as of last week, and that is we are anticipating a rally coming up here, Back the Blue rally this week, scheduled for later this week. And it's unusual circumstances, I would say, for a rally here in Arlington. So again, I invite you to go ahead and describe, as you understand it, what the rally is about, who it's being sponsored or at least affiliated with, and what your own concerns are, because I know you also wrote a letter to the community about this specific thing.
So let me start with that. For those who haven't seen it, I issued a statement yesterday. Human Rights Commission also issued a statement expressing concern around this proposed rally or this planned rally. And that concern isn't about the fact that it wants to be supportive of our police force, but concerned that it at least appears as though it's aligned with a national hate group called Act for America. I've had a lot of people writing to me today saying that they can't see where this group is associated with Act for America. But I saw with my own eyes the Facebook posting announcing this rally used the words "America backs the blue." And if you Google "America backs the blue" or "Back the Blue" or "Backs the Blue," the top search for all three of those different search entries is Act for America, the hate group in question. So we're concerned about that, and we don't want a hate group coming to Arlington. As I also mentioned in my statement, we will protect their First Amendment rights to free speech, but feel strongly about denouncing and condemning any hate group that would come to Arlington with a hateful message. So I do know that Chief Flaherty is actually meeting with the local organizer of the rally right now as we speak to try to learn more about what their plans are and what their actual intentions are, and hopefully we'll have more to share with the community after the chief has had that meeting. But top line, yeah, we don't welcome hate. You know, the signs that say hate has no home here have meaning in Arlington. Going a little bit deeper, this is all stemming from these Back the Blue rallies have been happening across the state and in various communities. And this is a direct result of our removal of a thin blue line flag from a police vehicle last week. This was covered in some news, but not local news. There was a decal on one police vehicle that had been put on when it was at the factory per specifications from that we actually borrowed from another community that had a thin blue line flag on it. It was pointed out to me by a member of the public expressing concern. Spoke with the chief. Chief immediately replied by saying that wasn't in accordance with department protocol, and the flag was removed. That created a stir in terms of the removal of the flag, and I believe that this rally is a direct result of our action to remove that flag from that police vehicle.
So a couple of things. One is, can you just elaborate, in case there are people in the audience who don't know right off, what a thin blue line sticker, flag, emblem, etc. would signify?
Well, I'll do my best. I'm not an expert on that symbol or symbols in general, but my understanding of that symbol is it originated a long time ago is this sentiment that police forces or police officers represented literally a thin blue line between a civil society and anarchy or chaos or uncivil society. And over time, it's morphed into various uses. We've probably all seen stickers on the back of people's cars with a sort of a black sticker with a blue line through the middle. I know I've seen those in my travels for years. Over the years, it's morphed into a flag. Unfortunately, there have been white supremacist groups that have co-opted the use of that flag. I know protesters in Charlottesville several years ago were utilizing that flag, so it's created concern in various communities of being a symbol of hate. It's created controversy in communities around the country. It's not just a blue state Massachusetts thing. It's happened in red states as well, where police departments or the management of police departments have not wanted that message to be sent. More locally and more recently, groups have used that flag to honor fallen officers. And by no means do I want to detract from the importance of honoring and remembering fallen officers. But I think I fall back to two things. One, we don't put anything on the cruisers. We actually removed shamrocks from all fire apparatus a couple of years ago, really using the same analysis that it wasn't department issued, so it doesn't belong on the departmental vehicles. Same with this flag. It's not part of departmental policy or protocol. It's coming off the vehicle. That said, if you want to debate the symbol, I will always lean towards, if somebody finds it hateful, you should respect that and not fly it. So I can't firmly say that this is a symbol of hate, and that's not why we removed it. We removed it because it didn't follow departmental protocol.
Okay, one other question on this topic, and then we'll move on. And that is, I know the Arlington Human Rights Commission in their communication to the community mentioned this. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on it as well. They recommended that if people were thinking about counter protesting, citing the fact that oftentimes rallies such as this Back the Blue rally might intend for there to be some kind of controversy or conflict or confrontation between those who would counter protest and those at the rally itself. Anyway, in light of that, they recommended that if people were considering counter protesting, they do that at some remove from Town Hall Plaza, which is where the Back the Blue rally is scheduled to happen. I'm wondering what you think about that idea.
I think it's great advice, and my understanding is the organizers of the counter-protest have already announced moving their counter-protest to Whittemore Park. So I think it's good advice, and it seems like it's being taken.
Okay, great. Next topic, couldn't be more familiar, and that is just touching on COVID-19. Again, not a big change in numbers, inching up a couple more every couple of days, it seems, in terms of cases. But again, that's very much inching. What I'm wondering is whether this far into the pandemic now, the kind of panoply of programs in Arlington already existing to help out vulnerable populations in different ways, be they financially vulnerable in terms of food security, vulnerable in any number of ways. Whether you've seen that there's been a greater call on some of those programs because of the pandemic, or whether in fact other programs have been introduced specifically in light of the pandemic.
So we have definitely seen that there's been a greater call, especially around issues of food insecurity. Arlington Eats, which is our Arlington Food Pantry, has been working really double time and in partnership with various community partners to try to meet the food needs of those in the community that are most vulnerable. So I think, we often measure vulnerability by food insecurity. It's, a measure of where people are most in need. And there's definitely a demonstration of need, but it appears as though Arlington Eats has been continually rising to the challenge of meeting that need. I'd say that we also earlier this year offered two sources of relief that people could apply for. One through supplemental CDBG funding through our Department of Planning and Community Development, and one through the Health and Human Services Department through our Arlington COVID-19 Relief Fund. The COVID-19 Relief Fund was a more general, income restricted, but a more general application where people could apply for relief. The CDBG funding was specific to either rental assistance for individuals or business assistance for small businesses that might need help. We received a lot of applications and issued awards from both of those programs over the summer, and I believe we're planning a fall reopening of the application for people who maybe were buoyed by various forms of assistance, whether it be unemployment assistance or the $1,200 check or whatever it might be. With all of those things evaporating, we're going to be opening up a second issuance of those applications to hope we can help as many people as possible.
And so can I assume then that means that the funding that has existed and had those programs operate continues to be available to you to be able to offer, again, reopen that application process?
Correct. We did not exhaust either pot of money, so there are still funds that can be dispersed to those who need it.
Good news. One more thing about COVID, and that is I have noticed, I'm sure various, many in our audience have noticed that you've continued to hit consistently on the message, understandably, of course, that people should avoid. People should continue with the practices, the best practices around safety within the pandemic that we're all familiar with. But specifically, I know there's concern on a national level coming out of the Labor Day weekend, as we are right just now, and given what's happened with 4th of July and Memorial Day on a national scale. One of the things you consistently say, avoid those big gatherings, et cetera. Any signs, any sense of, whether there's anything of concern here in Arlington related perhaps to the holiday weekend?
So not that I've heard yet. We check in on that in terms of what calls both police and fire received over the weekend. And I didn't hear concern about that. Where we are seeing concern is, we're in Arlington, a community that runs on community and gatherings, not necessarily backyard gatherings, but community-oriented gatherings, art-based, cultural-based gatherings. And we're starting to see an uptick in applications to the Board of Health to conduct more gatherings like this outdoors this fall. And we all certainly understand why people want to do this, but we are very hesitant to start allowing more outdoor gatherings. It just feels like an unnecessary risk. So we're going to continue to work on that and work with agencies who want to do things. We feel like Cheerful Where You Sit, the art exhibition from several weekends ago, was something that we could see as being successful. It's more of like a rotating event where you'll come with a small party, maybe just your family, view something and then leave, as opposed to standing somewhere and observing something, watching music, listening to music for an extended period of time. So we want to be flexible. We want to give people a chance to get outside and be social in a safe manner, but we also don't want to loosen restrictions too soon and run the risk of furthering transmission.
Okay, thanks. Last thing for this week. We're about 2 weeks away from the rescheduled final, let's say perhaps final step in the restorative justice process for Lieutenant Pedrini after the writings that he made almost a couple of years ago now, and that have inspired so much controversy and conversation here in town. Anyway, what is called an apology and acknowledgement that was originally scheduled for early August has now been set for a couple of weeks from today, September 22nd. Just wondering again what thoughts you might share with us about that, and whether you feel like that delay really helped you to ensure that this session will more fully accomplish the goals that you'd hoped.
Yeah, I do. So we, working with our consultants and advisors, Alensa Michelle from Powerful Pathways and Michael Curry, former president of the Boston NAACP, and our own Jill Harvey, our DEI coordinator. I think this gave us time for them to build a really robust framework and also an opportunity to get community feedback on that framework. So we have the framework of an agenda of what we'd like to accomplish on the 22nd, but we're going to be sharing it tomorrow night and Thursday night with 2 invited stakeholder groups that Alensa has cultivated and invited to participate. So we're going to make sure we get feedback and tweak things where we can from that feedback, because we want to make sure we are meeting the needs of the community in this event. And, I guess large scale, we're looking at an opportunity for Lieutenant Pedrini to vocalize an apology, an opportunity for him to converse and answer questions from Michael Curry, who will be the moderator or facilitator for the night. Have a chance for Lieutenant Pedrini to answer questions from the chat feature of the Zoom, moderated by Mr. Curry again. And then we're working to build a community panel or a reaction panel of people to come onto the Zoom after Lieutenant Pedrini's done to comment, provide feedback, and react to what they heard from Lieutenant Pedrini. Will we satisfy everybody? No, but that's, I don't think, going to be possible in this very challenging situation. So I do think the time has allowed us to put together a more robust and thoughtful session that we can hold on the 22nd.
Well, as you describe it just now, it seems it seems to conform to that for sure. And we'll keep fingers crossed that in fact it achieves those goals. I'm sure we'll check in with you again at next week's update about this, but appreciate your taking the time today to address that and the other issues, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you, James.
Thank you. I've been with Adam Chapdelaine, and this was this week's update with our town manager. I'm James Milan. Thanks for joining us.